When you hear home electrification, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this massive, super expensive project, right? Something you have to do all at once. But what if that's not the only way to do it? Let's explore a different path.
So, do you really need some kind of grand master plan to make it happen? What if I told you that one of the most thoughtful transitions from fossil fuels to electricity didn't start with a big blueprint at all? Nope, it happened one single intentional decision at a time. Okay, so let's meet Sue C. from Chicago. She lives in a single-family home, and honestly, her story is this amazing lesson in how to make these huge, intimidating changes feel, well, not just manageable, but totally achievable. And that's the key right there. Sue's story isn't about some rigid checklist she had to follow. It's more of an organic, evolving journey, guided by her values and just practical, real-life needs. This whole thing unfolded over years, not some whirlwind weekend overhaul. So what was guiding her? Well, Sue's whole approach was built on this really simple but powerful philosophy. At its core, she had this deep concern for the environment. But, and this is the important part, she mixed that with a big dose of practicality. There was no massive plan to rip everything out at once. Instead, her rule was to replace things as they reached the end of their life. Your water heater finally gives out? Great, let's look at an electric heat pump model. Your gas stove is on its last legs? Perfect time to check out induction. It's a strategy that, really, almost any of us could try. All right, so where did this super practical journey actually kick off? Well, it wasn't with some huge investment. It started with small, deliberate steps right in the heart of her home, the kitchen. Years before she bought anything big, Sue did something incredibly smart. She got a whole house energy audit. That gave her a clear roadmap of her home's efficiency. Then, when it came to cooking, she didn't just go out and buy a brand new stove. No way. She started small, with a portable induction cooktop. This let her kind of test drive the technology, without a huge commitment. Once she was sold on it, then she upgraded to a full induction range when the time was right. It's such a brilliant way to dip your toes in the water. Okay, so after these gradual upgrades in the kitchen, Sue was ready for her biggest move yet. A move that would take her electrification journey from the kitchen straight into the garage. And you can really see how her journey just built momentum over time, right? The energy audit, the kitchen upgrades, that stuff happened gradually. Then in 2025, she took the big leap. She bought an electric vehicle and got a home charger installed. But this wasn't some snap decision. It was really the culmination of years of these smaller, intentional steps. But of course, a huge leap like buying an EV, well, it comes with a pretty big price tag. And for Sue, just like for so many of us, figuring out the money side of things was probably the single biggest challenge of her entire journey. So let's get into that. Navigating the costs and the credits. Because understanding the financial side of this is absolutely critical. How do you make a major investment like this actually work? For Sue, it was all about finding the right support. Okay, brace yourself. All in, Sue's updates, including that EV, came out to around $32,000. And yeah, that is a significant amount of money. But that number, it really doesn't tell the whole story. The real story is in how she started to chip away at that big number. And her experience here is so insightful. What she found was that the federal tax credits were, well, they were complicated. They had all these restrictive rules she hadn't expected, like really specific income caps or strict requirements on which models qualified. But on the flip side, her state and local rebates, simple, straightforward. And this is a huge takeaway for anyone thinking about this. Don't sleep on your local incentives. They might just be the easiest money you can get. I mean, check this out. Sue got a $4,000 rebate check sent directly from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency just for buying her EV. That is a huge chunk of change that made the whole thing way more possible. And it wasn't just for the big ticket items. She also got a check for $150 from her utility, ComEd, for that induction range. Now that might seem small in comparison, but hey, every little bit helps, right? And it just goes to show you that there are incentives out there for all kinds of upgrades. So after this whole journey, this small steps, the big leap, navigating that financial maze, what are Sue's final thoughts? What's the key advice she has for anyone else who's thinking about going down this path? Looking back on it all, Sue is just thrilled. For her, the main payoff is personal. It's profound. It's knowing she's actually reducing her environmental impact. But now she's also starting to see this awesome bonus she didn't even count on, real cost savings on her energy and fuel bills. But if you could boil down her entire experience into one single, most important piece of advice for the rest of us, what would it be? It's this, right here. Do your homework and ask, ask, ask. Seriously. Research the incentives before you buy anything. Talk to experts, talk to your neighbors, talk to different contractors. Just don't try to go it alone. Your knowledge is literally the most powerful tool you have in this whole process. Sue's story really shows us that electrification doesn't have to be this monumental, all-or-nothing leap of faith. It can be a series of small, smart choices. Maybe it starts with an energy audit, or a little portable cooktop, or, honestly, just doing some dedicated research. So that leaves us with one question, right? What could your first intentional step be?